Arsenal working on a deal to sign Nico Williams from Atletico Bilbao this summer, with Mikel Arteta said to be a very big admirer of the 21-year-old Spanish international, who is absolutely electric. Now, if you've watched Spain or Atletico Bilbao last season, you will understand he's one of the players that are lighting up the Euros this summer with electric performances, obviously for Spain on the left-hand side with Lamine Yamal on the right-hand side. Nico Williams is a special player. Arsenal have Gabriel Martinelli, they have Saka, they have Leandro Trossard, but Mikel Arteta has decided that he wants to add Nico Williams to that attack, with the Athletic reporting today that Arsenal will try to sign Nico Williams for 58 million euros, which is his release clause at the moment, and Arsenal are very, very much convinced that he is the player Mikel Arteta deserves this summer. So sit down, relax, let's dive into Nico Williams. Why are Arsenal big on him? Why does Mikel Arteta really want him, with Gabriel Martinelli and Leandro Trossard already in the team, but also having Reece Nelson and Bukayo Saka on the other side? In the comment box below, I want your thoughts, I want your opinions. Do you think Nico Williams is better than Gabriel Martinelli and Saka? Do you think he starts in this Arsenal starting 11? If you've watched him for Spain, I don't want you to think that is a one tournament wonder. This boy has done it for Atletico Bilbao for quite some time now. Now, his name is Nico Williams Jr. Arthur. He's playing for Atletico Bilbao, ages 21. His market value, according to the transfer market website, is 60 million euros. He's got a release clause of 58 million euros, as confirmed by Fabrizio Romano today. And Romano says that he signed a new deal a few weeks ago, which increased his release clause from around 49 million euros to 58 million euros. Atletico Bilbao are not in the position and are not really in a hurry to sell their star man this summer, but you never know what happens. If a deal comes in, if someone triggers that release clause, then a deal could happen. Now, in terms of this player, the key standout feature is a player who can play with both feet. Now, when we talk about quality on the left leg and quality on the right foot, we talk about players like Ivan Perisic, we talk about players like Luka Modric, we talk about players like Kevin De Bruyne. If you've watched Nico Williams, you will have noticed one thing or two. The first thing is that he plays on the right-hand side or on the right wing for Atletico Bilbao. That is where Saka plays, and he predominantly plays as an inverted winger, cutting into his left foot and shooting lots of the time. For Spain, because we have Lamine Yamal on the right hand side, we cannot utilize him on the right, so we have to utilize him on the left hand side, and he is dangerous. He is deadly on the left hand side. So one of the key standout features from this boy is that at just 21, he's one of the players that are very, very comfortable on both feet. He can play on the left hand side with his left foot and then cut inside with his right and shoot. He can also play on the right hand side, cut inside with his left foot and shoot as well. That is something that we have not seen with players like Martinelli. That's something we have not seen with Gabriel with Saka or even Leandro Trossard. Despite the fact that I think Saka has got that little bit of ability to go out on his weaker right hand foot and bring in quality crosses. But when it comes to Nico Williams, a player can have a good shot on the right foot. A player can have a good shot on the left foot. He can beat a player with both feet. That is a special gem. Now, in this one, let's talk about his strength and let's talk about his weaknesses and why Arsenal are really, really big on him. So first and foremost, the first thing he has is blistering pace. Pep Guardiola talked about Mikel Arteta when he just left Man City, and he said he works very well on wingers, and one of the reasons as to why Raheem Sterling really became something huge and something big, at Man City, scoring a lot of goals, almost 20 goals per season, and assisting around 15 goals per season at Man City. That reason was Mikel Arteta. And again, with Mikel Arteta coming into Arsenal, we have seen Gabriel Martinelli become better. We have seen Leandro Trossard come in and get the impact that, right away he would have. And maybe Mikhailo Modric, despite the fact that he went to Chelsea and flopped, maybe Modric would have become the player Mikel Arteta had envisioned. Again, we have seen Saka really getting the good numbers. I think the last two seasons for Saka, in terms of numbers, have been absolutely on the top. So, when you think about Nico Williams and his blistering pace, I think Mikel Arteta would absolutely love that. He would absolutely love to work with a player who's got a lot of pace, who's got a lot of speed, and who's got a lot of pace that he can control. So in the Premier League, Arsenal predominantly play a very, very controlled game. I don't think we're one of those clubs that you can say Arsenal are always under threat. I think we are always posing the threat for clubs rather than clubs posing the threat for us. And that means that we can have a moment, or we can have moments or games where we are not controlling the game, especially Man City or even in the UEFA Champions League. We have tried to play on the break sometimes, with Gabriel Martinelli breaking through, with players like Gabriel Jesus breaking through, especially with players like David Dreyer, who are comfortable on starting attacks right from deep. So that is where the blistering pace of Nico Williams comes in, and that's one of the key things that I like about him more than Saka. Now, with Gabriel Martinelli and pace, I think him and Nico Williams are almost at the same level. I wouldn't say he's really much better than Martinelli in terms of pace. One thing I like about Martinelli is he can run, but as he runs, he will beat you, on the way to go. That is one of the things that Martinelli has. He's a very, very technically gifted player, and he's got that ability to beat a player along the way as he goes. I mean, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Konate are some of the good examples that will always wax lyrical of the speed and the pace and the technical ability of Gabriel Martinelli. But again, one of the things that you've got to love about Nico Williams is that he's a very pacey player. And if Arsenal are playing a game where we cannot get out, Man City, Liverpool under Ancelotti, maybe Chelsea under Maresca, it will depend on how other teams set up next season, Nico Williams would be a very fantastic player. The other thing that I think Mikel Arteta really likes about him is his excellent 1v1 situation, both on the right wing and on the left wing as well. So when you think about players on the wings for Arsenal, what do you notice? Martinelli beats players 1v1, Saka takes on players 1v1, and Leandro Trossard at times, of course not always, but Leandro Trossard and Gabriel Jesus always at times actually, they also take on players in 1v1 situations. That is where Nico Williams excels. Now, if you want to watch some him in action, I would implore you to go and watch the rematch or rewatch the game Spain played against Italy, where he was taking on Di Lorenzo. I really like Di Lorenzo. He's my guy, and I really like the work he's doing for Napoli and Italy. But in that game, it was a nightmare. It was shocking. And it's not because Di Lorenzo is actually poor defensively. I think it is down to the brilliance of Nico Williams in 1v1 situations. Now, when we think about Doku, one of the things I like about Doku is his ability to stop the ball, freeze, and start right away with a lot of pace. That is one of the skills that Nico Williams has. He's got the ability to stop right away and eventually start at a very, very blistering pace. So in terms of 1v1 situations, I would say again, I would give him a 7 out of 10, give Martinelli a 7.5 out of 10, but you see where we're going. He's younger than Gabriel Martinelli, he's younger than Saka, but we're talking about a player who's got almost the same qualities as these two lads. So again, in terms of 1v1 situations, Arsenal will have got a killer player and a killer boy. Next up on my list is chance creation, which is insane. And last season, he created 17 assists in all competitions for Atletico Bilbao. When we talk about Atletico Bilbao, we're not talking about Man City, we're not talking about Barcelona, or we're not talking about Real Sociedad even, not even Atletico Madrid. We're talking about a club that is not really mediocre, but rightly so. The best word we can use to explain them is a mediocre club in Spain. They rarely get to the UEFA Champions League. At times they get into Europa League. They don't dominate games as much as Real Sociedad, Barcelona, and Real Madrid. So they're just around there. But this boy created 17 goal contributions, 17 goals, in terms of assists for the team last season. If that doesn't really impress you, I want to put this into perspective. Saka, who was one of our most creative players at Arsenal last season, created almost the same number of assists for Arsenal last season. And Gabriel Martinelli was way below that in both of the seasons that he's been at the top, last season and the season before that. And Leandro Trossard as well was well before that. They both score more goals than Williams, but in terms of chance creation, he is a freak of a boy. He is absolutely insane. And when it comes into this Arsenal side, one of the things you would see is an increasing chance creation, an increase in chance creation with players like Kai Havertz, with players like Martin Odegaard arriving in the penalty area and taking care of those chances. For Spain, obviously, if you've watched him at the Euros, again, I'm going to say the Euros because that is the tournament that's going on right now. He's been insane. Pedri getting chances from him, Douglas Luiz. Fabian Luiz getting chances from him, and of course my boy Lodri also getting a lot of good chances from him. But that comes from the fact that when he beats a player 1v1 and when he enters into the penalty area, rather than shooting all the time, he's looking to create majority of the time. We'll get back to that because I think there should be a balance for a winger. When do you create and when do you score? But at the moment, I think he's actually doing very, very well. So with Arsenal, having that chance creation, having a player that can, have a lot of pace, there is one question. Can he fit in? And does Mikel Arteta really think this is a player that can fit into Arsenal? Which takes me to the next point, and that is the Spanish football education. So when you look at Mikel Arteta, he plays a total domination kind of system. He wants us to be on the ball, and our wingers really pass the ball a lot than many people give them credit to. Like, yes, at times they pass it backwards. The only way is backwards for a winger sometimes, right? So with Nico Williams, again, one of the things I like about him is he is Spanish, as simple as that. And that means that he understands the principles of the game that Mikel Arteta would love to, Mikel Arteta has established at Arsenal. That is what we are really playing with Del Fuente at Spain. And of course, playing in a team like Atletico Bilbao that has the principles of passing the ball, he will understand what it means to keep possession and he will understand what it means to play in a Mikel Arteta system. Whether that is a reason for us to sign him, that is something that we can leave for Mikel Arteta, but that is another strong point. But for me, in terms of fitting into the Premier League, he's a fighter, he's strong, and he cannot be bullied off the ball. Fabio Vieira is one of the most technically gifted players in the Arsenal team. Real talent. I mean, you've got to think about players like Emil Smith-Rowe. You've got to think about players like Odegaard. And then, in that bracket, in terms of talent, there is Fabio Vieira. One of the reasons why Fabio Vieira is failing and struggling in Europe, especially in the Premier League, energy, physicality, and he is bullied off the ball. Even players like, Bernardo Silva, they are small, they are short, but you can never bully Bernardo Silva. You can never bully Lisandro Martinez, the butcher. You can never bully such players. We have seen smaller players in the Premier League, like David Silva. Was David Silva really small? I think he was really small. And you could just never bully them. So the problem with Fabio Vieira is the opposite with Nico Williams. He's got that ability to just protect the ball. He's got that ability to physically go and engage in battles with players. And he is going to win those battles. In most cases, again, if you've watched him for Bilbao, and I would really implore you to go and watch him for Spain, most clubs and most teams will double up on him. Most teams will actually put two players on him just to make sure that they can get the advantage of him. And that is where he is insane. He beats two players physically and technically as if he's is doing a 1v1. Now again, for a club like Arsenal, you need such players. I think Saka really runs stale at times when he's doubled up on or when three players go against him. I think Martinelli at times really freezes when two players go against him. As compared to a 1v1. I think with Nico Williams and what I saw, for myself when he was playing Italy, Di Lorenzo picking up some support from Fratesi or times Chiesa, and he would beat them, and he would still go on to take the ball to Bastoni, to Calfiori, and still do the damage, which led to the goal that Spain scored. So again, if Spain, are using him in a way that allows him to beat two players, with his quick feet, with his physicality, and with his and with his technical ability, I think Arsenal would do the same as well. So in terms of physicality, in terms of him being very good on the ball, that is something that Arsenal would definitely benefit from. So I think finally, in terms of what you've got to expect from him, he's a durable player and he's got a lot of experience just at a very, very young age. He's played at the Euros already for Spain. He's already a big name in the Spanish camp, but also he's played now 3 seasons for Atletico Bilbao. I think one half season and 2 full seasons. So we're talking about a young player that has got experience. We're talking about a young player that has got a lot to offer to this Arsenal side. In terms of my worry on him, I have a few points that I'm worried about him in terms of the weaknesses. He's still young, and therefore he's raw. And I look at him when he plays in certain games, and I'm like, you don't need to do that. You shouldn't be doing that. He's just a little bit raw, just like Jeremy Doku, just like Gabriel Martinelli. He makes the wrong decision at times. He makes that wrong pass at times, but I wouldn't say that is a reason for Arsenal not to sign him. In any way, that should be a reason for Arsenal to sign him, so that Mikel Arteta can actually improve his game. The other thing is that he doesn't score many goals, and that comes from the fact that he's too selfless. When he gets through on goal. Now, again, that is something we saw with Martin Odegaard when he had just come in at Arsenal. He was a selfless player. He was willing to let go of every kind of chance to score goals in order to create for other players. But I think with Nico Williams, because he gets himself in very good positions, he should be looking to score more goals. Nico Williams, for me, better than Martinelli, and I see him as a starter for Arsenal if Gabriel Martinelli doesn't reach the levels that he was playing at in the 22-23 campaign.